In the quiet hours just past midnight, when the world softens into shadows and secrets feel safer, a single white envelope sat unopened on the kitchen counter of a modest white clapboard house in a quiet Ohio suburb. Inside that envelope rested the beginning of a story that would stretch across months of silence, stolen lessons, and a love that refused to go quiet. This is the story of Daniel and Elise Harper. Daniel Harper had always been the kind of man who spoke with his whole body. He talked with his hands even when he did not need to. Elise used to tease him for it. She would lean against the doorframe of their kitchen, arms crossed, one eyebrow raised, and say, "You know the rest of us can hear you just fine without the interpretive dance, right?" He would grin and reply, "Yeah, but this way you get the deluxe version." That was before the fever. It came on a Tuesday in late September. Elise came home from her shift at the library complaining of a headache and a strange ringing in her ears. By Wednesday morning the ringing had become a roar, and by Thursday the world had gone almost completely still. The doctors called it sudden sensorineural hearing loss. In Elise's case, it kept most of what it took. The left ear retained a faint, distorted murmur of the world. The right heard almost nothing at all. The first weeks were a landscape of quiet rage and quieter grief. Elise moved through the house like a woman walking underwater. She stopped answering the phone. She stopped putting music on while she cooked. She sat on the back porch in the evenings and watched the neighbors' children play, her face carefully blank. One night in early October, after Elise had gone to bed early, Daniel sat alone at the kitchen table with his laptop open. He typed 2 words into the search bar: "Learn sign language." Then he closed the laptop and sat in the dark for a long time. He began waking at 5 in the morning and practicing in the garage. He learned the alphabet first, then common phrases, then the signs for coffee and tired and I love you. His hands felt clumsy at first, like they belonged to someone else. There were moments of pure comedy that he kept to himself. Once he tried to sign "pass the salt," and instead told Elise that the dog needed a haircut. Another time he practiced the sign for beautiful, and accidentally signed something closer to elephant. One evening Daniel came home to find her sitting on the bathroom floor with the lights off. He sat down beside her without speaking. After a long time she reached over and took his hand. "I miss your voice," she said. "I miss the way you talk too much." The secret nearly broke on a Saturday in April. Daniel was in the garage practicing when Elise walked in looking for the gardening gloves. She stopped in the doorway. He froze with his hands still raised. "What are you doing?" she signed. Daniel lowered his hands, took a breath, and signed the truth. "Learning. For you." "How long?" "Since October." He signed the longer piece he had been practicing in secret. He told her about the mornings and the nights, the mistakes, and at the end he signed the 3 words he had practiced more than any others. "I love you." Elise was crying properly. She leaned forward until her forehead rested against his and signed the words back. "I love you too." In the weeks that followed, the house began to change. They argued in signs about whose turn it was to walk the dog and whether pineapple belonged on pizza. One evening she signed, "You know, for a man who used to need an entire living room to tell a story, you have become surprisingly concise." On the first warm night of May, they sat on the back porch with glasses of cheap wine and watched the fireflies. Daniel signed, "I used to think love was mostly noise. I was wrong. Love is this, the choosing, the learning, the staying even when the world goes quiet." Elise looked at him and signed, "Then we stay." And in the soft dark of a Midwestern night, the Harpers sat together in a silence that was no longer empty. It was full of everything they had refused to lose, spoken not with voices but with the steady, stubborn language of hands that had learned how to love in a new key. A midnight love that had echoed across the quiet and found its answer at last.